A scammer will do anything to gain your trust. They will be charming, charismatic, they will help you, they will say they'll be your savior. Am I making you paranoid? Don't be, but be aware, look behind you. But don't trust them. Never ever give anybody your passwords or tell them very much about you. Keep your finances private. And even if you know them very well, always be careful. Don't trust them. They cannot be your savior. Only you can be. It's a billet doux, not a billet doux.
We're here today to talk to Amanda about all the men who've managed to steal significant amounts of money from her, but in particular, one terrible scammer. Now this all happened about 2 or 3 years ago. Do you want to tell me
it
what
happened in about 2000, I suppose from 2016 to 2020.
4 years?
Yes.
And explain what happened.
Okay, I was being nagged because, you know, I needed to learn about money. And of course I hadn't learnt about money because I've been married for 20 years. But in any case, I've been with somebody all my life. And he was brilliant with money, but I wasn't necessarily good with money. So I wanted to learn about it. And in learning, I had a huge problem because I came across several people that were excessively charming. You should always beware the charming person.
When you say you came across them, what, you met them on the internet?
Usually on the internet.
Were they all get-rich-quick schemes?
I don't know if they were get-rich-quick schemes, but I would say you have to be an excessively good trader to make the sort of money I was making, because I did make quite a lot of money for a year or two.
So explain what happened.
The company, which I'm not allowed to mention, was out of Cyprus. There are a lot of foreign exchange scammers out of Cyprus. I was trading.
Play the foreign exchange.
Yes,
market.
exactly.
Okay.
And I really loved it, and I made quite a lot of money. I thought, well, I had to learn about money. So what I did was I wrote, how do you make money on the internet? And up popped this company, and they said they would teach me. And then this very charming man rang me and said he would help me. And he kept ringing me. And every day he would call me and say, how are you today? And I said I wouldn't invest any money until I would go over to Cyprus to meet them.
But were you amused by this man or charmed?
I was absolutely charmed. By the time I went over there to check him out and check the company out, I was completely charmed by him.
So you were expecting it to work out even before you went to check it out?
I don't know. I always thought in the back of my head it was all too good to be true.
Yeah.
But like everything, do you think you're being horrible? And in this day of political correctness, my second nastier side of my character stopped working. My skepticism stopped working.
Can he spot victims, this chap? Let's call him Benny.
I would say he's been perfectly trained by a very, very big scammer who was put away for 25 years in America. So I went over to his office in Cyprus, yes. And when I arrived, they picked me up in a limousine. He brought me flowers. I thought, my God, my day has come. And then he took me to his office.
Was he a good-looking guy?
Very pleasant looking. I would have said at the time 40. I was wrong.
Did you fancy him?
No, funnily enough, I didn't fancy him, but I did like him, and we got on very well. So he said, you don't need to worry about money anymore. I'll help you make money, and you don't need to worry about anything ever again, because I will help you do all these things.
And in fact, you took a position on the foreign exchanges.
First of all, I went over there. I didn't give him money essentially in the beginning. I went to meet him. And when I met him, it was a brand new office. I should have been a bit suspicious because it was 6 o'clock in the evening and it looked a very busy office with sort of 50 computer stands, which were all empty. You know, it looked like it was a set for computers. And there was a sign outside which was on a chain. I should have been a bit wary about that because although he actually did a skit outside where the plaque was and said,
he says he's not going to steal from me. He promises me, don't you, that you're not going to steal from me.
I'm not stealing it.
He always told me, don't talk to anybody else in the office, only talk to me. I don't want you to talk to anybody else.
You were in this empty office. Do you think they just borrowed it? Do you know what's going on there?
It's all over the net that that's their office. So it was definitely their office for the time. He took me out for dinner. He was very, very correct with me, actually. So for the next year, I reckon I made probably £2.5 million.
And how did you make this money?
I was just buying and selling whenever he told me to.
Currencies?
Yes,
Only
currencies, yes.
Right.
The dollar against the pound. You know, they come in pairs. At the time, you don't think you're gambling, but you're gambling because they change dramatically. And even a tiny percentage alters your position. And then on top of it, you have to watch these currency exchanges, and you have to watch the trading because they're all a second or so out of time with the actual trading office. So it's a problem because for me personally, I think that's against the law. But they're slightly out, they're about 2 seconds.
So they have time to actually do another trade with your
Of
money?
Of course. Yeah. And then on top of it, nothing is really real. You don't know where you put your money in through your credit card onto the platform that whatever platform you want. And it's a problem with all platforms. It's not just the people I used, but it was a whole problem with platforms in Cyprus. It's very easy to get conned by these other people, especially in Cyprus, which is tax efficient and all sorts of other things. So you can easily get conned.
Now, was it like a Ponzi scheme? Was it like the Sting where they were actually giving you profits that weren't there? Or were you making real money?
Okay, it looked like I was making real money. Yeah. On top of that, I took a lot of money out. I took about 600,000 out.
And how did he feel about you taking
No,
cash
he
out?
never minded.
Okay.
And then I put it back in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I go in, out. And in fact, my ex-husband told me to take out money. It was no problem. So I did test it. I wasn't stupid. I would have never found this out if I hadn't given him a certain amount of money to put on Bitcoin, because I thought, well, I would love to do Bitcoin. So I bought it at £7,000, which I thought. Well, now it trades at about 25,000, so you can calculate how much 150,000 would be worth. So when that disappeared, I knew I was probably conned on the other side.
My name is Cecilia. I'm a friend of Amanda. I'm her hairdresser. We know for a long time. And recently she looks very depressive, so I wonder what's going on. So one day I visit her house and I saw a tear in her eyes, and I asked her what's going on. And she told me she lost all her money. Somebody stole her money.
First of all, it turns out that you pay for every swap, is that correct? I don't quite understand it.
You basically have to pay a sort of fee for renting the platform.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Is that what a swap is called as well?
Yes.
Okay. And they can set whatever rate they like?
Yes, and which is what they started to do.
And is that illegal?
It is illegal, but they did it.
Right.
And that's why I got some of my money back.
Right. So, you said, come on, Benny, let's try Bitcoin. And he said, that's a great idea.
Yes, he said it was a great idea. And I just got some money in from a house I'd sold in Los Angeles. And I was happy to give it to him because at the time I'd made $1 million in a year. I've taken out enough for my year ahead. And luckily for me, a great friend of mine said, take a bit more out. And I took a bit more out. And everything went very well. I then had a problem. I was worried about my positions. And they rang me up, actually, one of the other people in the office, and they wanted to give me very, very, very heavy positions in currencies.
Risky or?
Yes, I thought they were risky, and they turned out to be. But it was another person in the office.
Who was trying to scam you as well?
Yes.
Two scammers trying to scam each other?
Eventually I found out I was scammed.
So you bought this Bitcoin, which would have been worth an awful lot if you'd been able to access it, but he had the
codes and everything. And that's the other thing. If you buy Bitcoin, you must do all your own codes. You must have everything that's pertinent to you, not let anyone else near your things, and do it on reputable platforms like Binance. Don't go into anything else, really.
So first of all, you'd had this dodgy phone call. Then you by now you still hadn't realised how much they were charging you for swaps.
I did, I worried, and I used to argue about it all the time.
If you remember, you used to speak to Benny all the time, and it was very funny.
I think I was very taken in by his character. It reminds me of the Tinder swindler, really. It's the same sort of area in the world, and they're very similar characters. They almost look identical as well.
But you actually still quite like Benny, don't you? You think he's got something?
Well, I thought he was a very talented trader. I think if he had been honest, doing exactly the same thing, all of them would have made more money with me, and everybody would have been happy. Because after all, but you see, they're not meant to give you trades, and they gave me the trades.
That's right, you're not technically legal. You meant to have a financial license or something?
Yes, exactly, yeah. And you're not allowed to do trades unless you can do trades yourself, and that's how they want you to do it. They're not meant to give you the trades.
They're not meant to give you any advice on what you trade?
Yes, of course, but he was giving me the trades every day.
Then you decided to check out your Bitcoin account?
Yes.
And you found you couldn't get into it?
Correct? I couldn't get into it. So I got a 14-year-old, the son of my hairdresser, and he got in 5 minutes. He said the money isn't there.
So when she lost all her money from Bitcoin, I asked my son, actually he's very good at computer, to help her. So he found out her password, and then we are trying to find her money back and everything. I asked her to share the picture of a Benny, and then when I see his face, he looks like criminal. I couldn't even trust even with the picture. He was really, really like not trust, like very sneaky eye, and then she trusts him so much.
At this point, I knew that he had scammed all of my money. And I thought, what the hell do I do? Go to my ex-husband and say I've been a complete clown and an idiot. We just altered all my outgoings immediately. Make sure your outgoings are low. My friend was incredible at helping me, the hairdresser, and she changed everything in an hour.
We started making a plan to help her, so I told her to record everything with Benny, what is a conversation it is, and same time my son started hacking his identity, what identification, and looking for family and Google and everything.
And then we started to unravel the whole evil, actually, network in Cyprus. Basically, we discovered it goes back to major hotels in Israel. It's like a spider going into Germany, into Australia, and it's everywhere.
What, different companies, shell companies,
yes,
all
exactly.
owning each other? But...
Yes, all owning each other through a bedsit company. And everybody in it is told to be charming. So they're all very charming, but they're scammers.
Once you discovered your Bitcoin was ripped off, so at that stage, obviously you were saying to Benny, where is it?
Yes.
And what was he
saying?
He
was saying he hadn't stolen it. But the thing was, one day I'd ring up, Bitstamp was the company, and they would ask me my email address all the time, and I wouldn't get the right email address. And one day I got a girl, it must have been the middle of the night when I rang up, and she obviously was new, and she said to me, yes, I've got 2 email addresses, and one of them is amanda@ripple.com. And as this boy told me to invest in Ripple, I knew it was him. And so I rang him up the next morning and said, it's you, because only you told me to invest in Ripple.
Which boy? This wasn't Benny?
Yes, this was Benny.
Oh, really?
I'm not hiding, I'm not running away, I'm telling you what to do to get some more money back. Your case should be directed to different direction, as I mentioned in our previous
yes, but what
conversation.
I'm saying to you is, how are they going to pay me back?
That's not the problem.
Do they know they've got to pay?
Yes.
Why did they do it to me? Can I just say to you, why did they do it to me? Why do you want to do that to me?
It's not nothing against you, like.
And it was a long conversations with Jack, my son, and eventually he came clean. But the interesting thing was when I photographed of him into the computer, into Google, and another picture came up identical. In fact, it was actually my hairdresser, who was an amazing detective, and she actually found out the mother of Benny.
So we found his brother, and then we contact him. And then he was really shocked, and then he thought it's going to have a big problem, so he wanted to step back. He doesn't want to involve anything. We found his mother, and then we contact her. We explain everything. It's all her life. Everything is in there. And then she feels really, really sorry for us.
Which is very weird. How she found it, I have no idea. But anyway, we found out that he had used his brother's name by putting the picture in. There was his brother's almost identical, but he's better looking. And I thought, my God, this is incredible. And I found out he was 28 and not 40. There you are, girls. Don't get conned. It's sort of a pity because it could have all been so different. They think they've got a quick amount of money from me, but in the end, they had to pay a third of it back, and I got it back with interest. But of course, I didn't get what I should have got.
Sure. How about on the other side, which is possibly more serious, charging illegal rates, the swaps?
Yes, that's why they paid me back about a third of what I had made. Because remember, they don't give you the upside.
Sure.
They only give you the original stake. Exactly.
In fact, Benny helped you get the money back, didn't he? Because
yes, he would spend hours on the telephone telling me what to do.
Because he was terrified of being prosecuted himself.
Yes, exactly.
That's your case. You need to understand that, and that's what they're willing to give you back money.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's 1 out of 3, and you have 2.
So he didn't tell me how the companies worked. My son worked that out, and it's very convoluted. I've signed all sorts of documents saying I can't really go into who is involved.
That's what's so demanded, and they will get scared from it.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Because they took away from me all the paperwork regarding you.
What?
Yeah, because they took everything away from me.
From who?
From me.
Why?
William White, disclosed information.
They've taken it away from you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but you know it's backwards anyway.
Yeah, but I need to look at it to confirm.
Okay.
But needless to say, it's a huge hotel company in Israel, and they're all related to each other. Then makes some sense. And how I got the money back was really by going to Benny's brother and saying what had happened to me. When he didn't pay me back, I rang up the mother.
And then finally we got the money back.
When I rang up the mother, okay, I then got the money back.
The backhand is legit. There's nothing not legit there. I saw in my own eyes. And that's what they're willing to give you back money.
Okay.
But then think about it. You then get scammed by the lawyer. Of course, he wanted to scam me left, right, and centre. The first amount of money that I got back from Benny, it was a shame because he again was likable. They're all exactly the same person, intermingled into crooks.
Now, have you got a weakness for crooks?
Absolutely not. My radar normally out there is to say everybody's a crook.
Don't trust anyone.
Benny was a terrible thief, but other people have ripped you off.
Yes, exactly. There was a person who took my money from a house in Los Angeles. That was very easy for him to do. He just took it from a bank and he masked my identity, yes, and took the money. He again paid me back, but it took him 6 years. So in essence, all of them mucked up my finances.
And there was a chap who helped you with the film you were making who turned out to be a complete
Oh
liar
my
as
God,
well.
he was even the best. He said he didn't have a piano, that he needed a piano, so I got him a cheapy piano. And he went round the world with me. I was making a film on my life. I didn't really trust him either. I don't trust any of them. But because of the way we are nowadays, we're to take people at face value rather than our instincts. Okay, I knew these people were probably no good.
But there's two things in you. One is you like outsiders. Second is you like people that no one else likes. And possibly maybe you like shady people a bit as well for some reason, just because they're different.
I think I like different people.
But this...
And maybe I don't want to be around shady, because if you think about it, I don't stay around them at all.
No, but you want to give people a chance who other people wouldn't give a chance
Yes,
to.
exactly.
Why is this?
What's in it?
Why,
because I think the
where
world
does it
is
come
very
from?
difficult and very unfair, and some people are made to be thieves that might not be thieves. You know, we're all given this terrible judgment from a very early age.
Would you say you'd had any success with outsiders and misfits?
I would say that the 3 bad misfits that I helped, and I was nice to, and they helped me, were all a disaster. And I would actually say that they all have one thing in common. They try to be incredibly charming. You will not catch them out being horrible to you. And that's a very pleasant thing.
Someone who's never awful is possibly not believable.
Exactly. And they're all quite good looking. They're not too good looking. The man who helped me with my film, I met him on Match.com. In fact, I employed most of my film that I made from Match.com because I didn't know where to get a crew from. Of course, I met other people that were helpful. So it wasn't all a bad experience. It's just that, you know, for instance, the man that helped me make the film was watching porn during the time he was meant to be making the film. There was no loyalty. And I would say that the problem is with all of this is that, you know, I've helped other people. I've helped a young man do literature festivals and things like that because I like them. And then they turn on you. You know, when you're no use to them anymore, they'll turn on you.
I mean, obviously they want your dough.
Yes, I'm living on my own, of a dodgy age, and of course it's dangerous.
But do you think that they can sniff this out somehow?
Yes, of course. I think they go and look for you.
Because the funny thing is, the alternative is, there's a woman we both know, but who once asked me to write a book under her name, and when I told her the price, I never heard another word from her again. But you're not like that. Maybe it's wiser to be a bit of a bitch.
I think so.
But then you don't have any friends.
How important is friendship? It's very important to me, okay? Yeah. And I like to trust people. I think I've grown up since this time. You know, I had been with somebody for 20, 30 years. Yeah. I was far too trusting. And of course now there's a problem that I'm not trusting anymore. You know, it was a 4-year period of my life. I wanted to be successful with something that I wasn't very knowledgeable about or indeed successful with.
Although when you were first doing it, you met some Goldman Sachs bankers who said, oh, come and work for us, you seem very good at this.
Yeah, they did offer me a job.
Are there honest platforms? Could you do it again?
Yes, you
or
can.
Would you never want to go near it?
Well, I've lost my nerve. It's a very tricky business. It's very, very exhausting because when the markets are up, everybody's happy. I once worked for an oil trader, and when the markets were doing well, everybody was happy. And when they were doing appallingly badly, everybody was impossible. This is the same world. And I don't really like the change in temperament. It's not good for me because I need to be kept at room temperature. And I used to get little billets d'or from this man. You know, he used to write to me all the time. He was quite convincing that he cared about me. I didn't need to have a love story from him. I just wanted to be having an interesting life, really.
Well, even when you were kind of unraveling this whole thing, getting to the bottom of it, you stayed on tremendously kind of funny and matey terms with him. Was that a tactic, or do you actually like the guy?
I don't know if I like him. I don't dislike him either. I'm disappointed that that's the route he chose, the route of dishonesty.
But also, actually, when you fall out with people, you're very keen to make up again.
I always think when you've had an argument with somebody, you know the other side of their character and they don't muck you around anymore.
Okay.
In fact, actually, probably what is a very good idea is to make somebody fall out with you in the first week and then they end up liking you because they know your limits.
Yeah,
and we all have foibles, and I think that we need to know each other's limits. And there are limits, and theft is one of them.
Yeah.
And you know, you can choose an easier route than theft, because the worst thing is you're caught out, which both these people were. They think I'm not going to go after them. I go after everybody.
How about the chap who helped you with the film, though? He got away with it?
Not really. No, he didn't, because he wanted to remain friends. Despite slagging me off or whatever he wanted to do, he also wanted to be a part of it. I don't think he really disliked me. He was more playing with my personality. I don't give a damn about this. I'm way past this.
So now, do you think you're going to be better in future at spotting con men?
I was always good at spotting them. But that's the other problem. I knew this man was a con man the first day that I met him, the one in Cyprus. I used to always say to him, you're a con man. It's not that I don't recognize them, it's that I must not give people chances. And that's the way it is.
Do you dislike being more cautious now?
The element of risk is exciting, but the drama that comes with it is not, it's not exciting. And it's put me in jeopardy. It's made my family furious. It's had consequences which are not nice to deal with, and all from trying to do something that I wasn't necessarily good at. Although my son said, you did actually make that money, but unfortunately, he thinks the platform isn't real.
So the money maybe never even went through a bank? It could have all
well,
just been
he reckons, but he had no proof that it goes from the platform into a series of companies like this and gets laundered. And then with the swap charges mounting up, you become zero.
Right.
And they steal all the money.
Now, do you think that you said you wanted to know how to get rich quick? Do you think that you can't get rich quick?
I think you can get rich quick, but by God, if you don't, you might lose all your money.
Right.
Okay, it's like putting everything on the number 13 in the race at Ascot. It's not very different.
You don't think this was to do with greed in any way, thinking, wow, I'm making 20%
No, I think
a
what
day?
it was more was to keep myself in my old age, not be any hassle to my children. Of course, I ended up being more hassle than ever.
Well, I think we have to thank Jack.
My son was amazing. What he learnt was that now he can find everybody's companies. He's got an amazing brain. He really should be an investigative detective because he knows how to find everybody's companies and he sees how their brain works and he can adapt to their brain to find the companies involved. He knows exactly who stole this money. He knows how it happened. And he was very happy to go and get him. Unfortunately, I had to sign a disclosure. I didn't actually make any profit in the end. I just came back with roughly what I put in.
An adventure, but a huge hassle.
Yeah, I was minus £300,000 in the end. But they really mucked my money around. With all these things, you have to know the chain in each story and who they really are. In that case, I didn't trust him an inch either. I didn't like him. He wasn't Benny.
Right.
And I thought he was extremely slimy. I had to use him because I was living in England and Los Angeles at the same time. He went and bought his own house with my money. I mean, you know, it's unbelievable. I introduced him to a man, because he was gay, and he stole money from that man and he stole double the money. By now he'll probably stole triple.
Now, do you think some of your actions or reactions came from you've been married to an incredibly successful businessman where you had as much pocket money as you wanted and you were probably very generous with it? Do you think you're still carrying on that life a bit?
I think so.
And you're over that now?
Yes, I am quite careful and I'm not interested in the same things, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a different age. I don't think that money is a necessity, but it's not very interesting. It's only interesting that it can buy our health. Like if we get sick tomorrow, we can go to the doctor.
Yeah.
If we need a holiday, we can have a holiday. I'm not into big boats, luxury holidays. I'm really not this type of person.
Because you'd been married to this very, very financially successful man, do you think you wanted to give other people a chance?
Yes, that's exactly it. When I met him, he was 22, you know, and it was fun to build something together, and I like building things with other people, but they might not have the same honesty towards you.
But also you can be a legal businessman who does some pretty amazingly shocking things, or you can be an illegal businessman who does criminal things. I mean, just because you're legal doesn't mean you're nice.
Exactly, absolutely.
And I suppose just because you're illegal doesn't mean you're nasty.
No, exactly.
Unfortunately, they take your money with them.
Exactly. I was scammed in minor ways, like with my car when I went to Los Angeles. The man who was pimping my car, ran off with 12 grand. A PR guy went off with 10,000 who was meant to help me with my house. They were smallish amounts, but it was also disgusting. Los Angeles, you have to have eyes at the back of your head. You know, they might have thought that I was difficult. Well, I can tell you, I was only difficult because they had done terrible things. Not terrible things, just not very interesting. Everybody's on the scam. You know, you once said to me in Los Angeles, does anyone work around here? Well, does anyone scam around here is really what they're really up to.
Indeed. But it's all man on woman. Well, obviously you're a woman, but it's all man on woman crime, this, isn't it?
Yes, is it? Yes.
Have any women ever behaved badly?
Women behave badly in very different ways. You know, women behave badly because they get jealous or something isn't to their liking or they think that you've done something mean to them.
With the exception of Benny, who's an amusing character for all of these things, but how much of it do you think is about resentment? Do you think these people like women? I can imagine Benny would, but I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think they don't
They're
like
all
women.
gay.
No, well, we can't say that.
So what have we learned? I think we've learned that what Amanda often says, a favourite saying of hers, is no good turn goes unpunished. Don't take a chance on people because they'll probably let you down. I don't think that would be her way of seeing it though. I'm sure she's going to have many more criminal adventures ahead of her.